Yo, so I just want to point out this is therapy for us all. Like week in, week out. We look forward to it. Listen,
Fellas,
it's
it's
just
gonna be one of them nights.
it's gonna be. I'm telling you. What's good? What's good? Another Tuesday night at 9. Prototype Dad. What's going on, fellas? How y'all feeling tonight?
Feeling good.
Yeah.
Feeling good, feeling good.
Sure, we should have a heck of a show tonight, man. I invited some special guests. They may or may not show, but it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna enjoy each other, regardless. We got a good little episode, good topic, and it's really about how we put our kids in sports. You know what I'm saying? So uh, often, some of us love sports, some of us don't. Some of us believe in how we grow through it, and others be like, "Man, I'm not doing none of that," or it means nothing, right? So I guess the first question, right, and this should cause some good debate, you know what I'm saying? And as we wait for other people to come and join in, everybody's been here before, so I don't gotta explain the rules. But based off of your anecdotal experience, uh who's been more successful in life? Athletes, former athletes or current or non-athletic people, you know what I'm saying? So from your experience in life around your peer group, who's been more successful?
Okay. Yo, so when you ask that question, I guess that's kind of open ended. Are you referring to like financially, socially, like in what aspect are we referring to the success?
I mean, financially is definitely an aspect of success. Socially is definitely an aspect of success. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think we all kind of have the same kind of notion of what success. I mean, let's not move the goalposts on and be weird about what success is. Like, we all kind of have an idea on a successful person. You know what I'm saying? We could break it down into simple terms. You know what I'm saying? But we all know society. Society wise,
I would
what
say
success we got.
the common perception of success is someone with money. Like people look at people with money that you're successful, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're successful. Like you know what I mean? Your world could be crumbling around you, and you just got a whole lot of money. You just made some really good decisions and made money. But if I say success, like if I'm looking at an athlete, I would say they would be more successful than a non-athletic person, just based off of the competition standpoint. Like most athletes are more competitive people, and in anything you do, and whether it's athlete or being in the corporate world, anybody that's competitive that has that edge, you know what I'm saying, they're gonna be more successful, and I think they're more socially successful. Um, just given like what comes along, like the confidence that comes along with being an athlete or being a star or whatever. You know what I mean? They're gonna be more confident. They're gonna get more women. You know what I'm saying? Which is gonna make them popular with everybody else. So I just think, I would say the athlete.
I mean, I don't want you to speak from people you don't know. I'm saying like as far as people you actually know in real life and society. Now, and if you know a bunch of pro athletes, you know what I'm saying, I understand that group, and you saying that answer, right? But I'm just saying based off the everyday common life, you know what I'm saying? Uh what do you deem who would be your circle or people you look up to in business? You know, who or do they have athletic backgrounds or what? Like, so who's the more successful? So that's kind of how it goes. I don't want you to necessarily speak on society because society, I mean, like social media or celebrity, but just off of what you've grown with. You understand what I'm saying?
Okay, look, bro. Let me make it plain. the non-athletic people are way more successful. Way more. Let me make it plain for you. It's like, I don't even know why we had this long, like, it's easy. Now, obviously, there's a part of it, like, for example, I mean, when I'm in corporate America and they're like, oh, you play college ball? And they're like, oh, they look, but I mean, I remember I played against Carnegie Mellon one time. I was having a really good game. And dude said, I'm going to be your boss one day. That woke me up. Like, come on, man. Like, those people are way more successful. And that's okay. It's just, it is what it is, because we all have different talents. We all have different superpowers, and, you know, whatever it is that, you know, we're good at, we lend that to do what, you know, what we wanted to become. But I mean, literally only 1% of 1% make it to be great athletes and get paid to do it and stuff like that. So, I mean, it's a really simple answer.
But I think so. The question wasn't like professional athletes. It was just athletic people, like athletes, people who played, because there's a lot of collegiate athletes that go on to run companies. You know what I'm saying? And it's just, I don't think you don't have to reach that pro level. It's just, you know, from what I've seen, he said, based off me, the athlete is probably the more good looking one, right? He's gonna be he has the better build, right? So he has more of the women, people more likely to follow him. You know what I'm saying? He's probably the alpha in the room. And what that does, that translates to business success, man. You know what I mean? Being able to command, being able to, you know what I'm saying, take the lead. I think, you know what I mean, at the athletic mind state, you know what I'm saying, puts you at an advantage in a lot of different things.
What's going on, Ray? Let me introduce Ray real quick. What's going on, my guy?
Oh, there it is. I'm unmuted now. What's going on, fellas?
I just want to make sure you get involved. So the first question, you know what I mean? So, you know, how we do, everybody get a crack at the question.
Right.
The first question is, based on your anecdotal experience, who's more successful in life? Either people who's played sports, athletes, or the non-athlete. You know what I mean? And I know your circle, being that you train athletes and you made it to the highest level, you know what I'm saying? You have a different experience. So that's kind of the question. But I think Lynn was about to go, so I just wanted to, you know, give you some time to think about the question.
Bet.
Yeah, I gotta agree with Mo. It's definitely the non-athletes who are more successful. And I think it's due to, like, you know, if you look at it from like life in sliders. So if money is something that you aspire to, fame is something you aspire to, power, women, you know, accolades, a lot of the times you check a lot of those boxes in just athletics alone. So the people who have never been athletic or never had the opportunity to be in sports, just physically, just it wasn't going to work for them. I mean, it's a proven fact that most CEOs are 5'6" and shorter. You know.
Wait a minute, is there a stat out there like that?
I thought it was 5'10". I thought it was like 5'10" and taller, dog. I thought it was like 5'10" and taller.
Maybe
that's 5'10". What I heard.
Don't quote me.
Yeah.
I may be a couple inches off, but they're not
athletic.
They're not athletically built until they get the bread, because then the lifestyle changes. So then once you get the money, then you get a trainer, you get everything. So you get to appear as if you're a certain way. And then you check those boxes that the athlete had in high school while you was grinding all the way through your teens and your 20s. And now you set in your late 30s.
I think, if I can chime in, I think it's like a 2-pointer, right? Because if you talking to a lot of, like, a bunch of successful people, a lot of them have a sports background. Now, how they go is a different story. So when you got the guys who, you know, play collegiate and play pro, they're behind the 8 ball when it comes to career development, right? It's almost like they spent the last however long they played ball to chase that dream, which is usually 6 years on average of guys. Like, even if they get cut from the NFL in 2 years, they still spend another 4 years trying to stay a part of the game. So they almost like don't get to start their career and don't have experience until they're about 28 years old. So they already behind the 8 ball. So now when they get it, they gone. Like, it's one of those things. When they get it and they get in there, they're gonna work their way up. But a lot of, like, executives, you'll meet they play sports, but they play intramural sports. Like they didn't play it as serious. So if you still consider them an athlete because they play high school because they went to a private school where they got old money and family money at that high school, they still played. I don't know if you consider them an athlete. Like what caliber do they have to make it to be considered an athlete? I guess is the question you asked. But the things that you learn playing sports, like the sportsmanship, the brotherhood, the teamwork, perseverance, all of those stuff is gonna make you great in the working world in some capacity. Now, not having a set schedule, that's where it kind of like is a gray area because athletes are used to having like somebody telling them what to do all the time and where to be. So that's where they kind of lose focus. But I think more people are workers that didn't play sports, but more of the top executives become people with like some kind of sports background. Whereas it could be lacrosse, it could be they play baseball, something because they're already in a network. If they go to like a school like UGA or even an Ivy League school, like a lot of them got like some kind of athletic background where they play intramural ball, their dad played intramural ball and stuff like that. They just might not care as much about sports as guys who aspire to go pro.
And Ray, that was exactly what I was going to ask you. Like, that's kind of where I saw it. I'm like, at what line are we consider people an athlete? Yeah, they play intramural, and I was all-star the intramural league. But at the same time, like, they're like, man, by the time they got to where they were focusing while we was training and all that, they was focused on getting their academics. They actually knew what they wanted to do.
Yeah, they had experience when they came out too. Like they was able to go get interns.
You know what I mean? They had internships. Hell, I wasn't even able to do internships because I was playing ball.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things. So by the time I got into the working world, I came in with an arm tab behind my back. And like you said, once you get it, you figure it out. But it's still an uphill battle.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm running a race where
let's draw the line of what qualifies you as an athlete. What level do you have to, you know what I'm saying, make it to? I would say at least high school, you know what I'm saying? Right? Like if you play solid high school ball, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to say solid, but you know what I'm saying? Even when I met Ray, right? We was having this debate about who played ball, how good were we, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. And I couldn't really talk much because I know Ray, you went to the NFL. I was like, and they was like, no, bro, we talking about high school here. Like, we won't even be talking about pro ball. You know what I'm saying? We talk about high school. So I think it depends on. It might depend on where you went to school, on how serious you would have took that to be considered an athlete. But at the same time, like I would say that fine line of playing at least 1 year of collegiate ball would suffice for athletic for me.
Okay, yeah, that knock a lot of people out because you'll meet a lot of older white guys and you'll start talking and they'll be like, yeah, I played fullback back when I was in high school. That was back in the day though, that's when we used to run the wing T and you have to be real athletic. So, a 5'8" white guy like myself, I could play the position. Like that's how they kind of throw into their athletic background when they're talking to somebody that plays sports. So
there's nothing wrong with being 5'8", bro.
but that's how they describe it. Like they were like a 5'8", slow.
Look, if you 5'8" Thunder, like, man, you knock them out, you disqualified. You ain't an athlete.
So now you put a year collegiate. Yeah, that I would say the non-athletes probably will rise to the top in this conversation.
No, I get it. Anybody else want to chime in? I know Leafer ain't speak.
No, I was waiting my turn, like a gentleman. But yeah, man, I feel like, since you put that collegiate level on that 1 year collegiate level, like, building that foundation of I guess being in sports and playing with a team, even as a child and stuff, you know what I mean? You still carry over some of those aspects into business and into your mindset about the world, whether you decided to go to collegiate and really go hard as an athlete or not. You still get some of those basic principles that you could pass over. So I would say because I think the question was in my circle of people, do I see the non-athletics or the non-athletic or the athletic, I guess being more successful, whatever that means. I have to say, man, I do see a lot more non-athletic by the basic definitions that we we set here with that year collegiate, because I see a lot of people who did, they did play in high school. Some of them went to private school. They did crew in high school, and you know what I mean, played field hockey and all this other stuff, and then went to college and they didn't do any sports at all. And you know what I mean, a lot of those guys that are in my circle right now they're winning. You know what I mean? So from what I see, it's definitely the non-athletes that are winning.
So my spin on it is, I think you have an advantage coming from the background, right? But that's not the question. The question is, have I dealt with more people that's been successful, athletic or non-athletic? And quite frankly, in my field, in IT, nobody's athletic. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not running into anybody that's played any ball of any sort. I ran into one guy. I had one coworker. He used to play volleyball. You know what I'm saying? But that's the most I've gotten. You know what I'm saying? And the weird thing about it is the boy could jump out the gym. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, Hops is a hooper. Like, you know what I'm saying? But I didn't respect it. Like, you know what I'm saying? I was just like, you play volleyball. And he was like, yeah. I was like, all right. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's just one of those things where even for me, football's king. And that's just my personal, that's my personal opinion. That it's just like the ultimate manhood sport for me. You know what I'm saying? It kind of gives you that grit, that struggle, that fight. And if you didn't play it, I probably don't respect you as an athlete. Unless you do something like boxing. Shut up. Unless you do something.
Gotta respect them volleyball dudes. You get poked on out here. With them dudes.
That's the issue though. Like, I think that's where the question you get is getting jaded. It's like, are we talking about just football, basketball, like all the typical typical sports? We got to be super athletic, but there's a wide range of different sports. You know what I'm saying? That people play that it still make them athletic in their own right. Like volleyball is an athletic sport. It's an Olympic sport. You know what I'm saying? You still have to have a certain amount of athleticism to play it. Lacrosse, we talking about wrestling, like golf. You know what I'm saying? All those are like athletic sports in your own right. You still have to be athletic to play it. And I just feel like even so, when Mo Better said the guy Carnegie Mellon told him he'll be his boss, but he still was playing a sport. Like, they were competing.
And that was the part that's why I was like, that's the 1 year thing. That's why I was like, I don't know about that. He was out there, but I was tearing him a whole new one. I was like, man, this dude ain't really no athlete. This is a check in a box for his internship to be like, oh, I had 4 years of varsity, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? Like, because his focus was that. My focus was on the field. His focus was getting into the boardroom. So that's why I'm like, man, some people, man, they're using it as a stepping stone, whereas it's our everything. You know what I mean? So that's why I'm like, man, whenever we're having this definition conversation, I think it's more about the intent, what the person's intent was in that athletics. Because the same people they feel, okay, I didn't play any sports, but I have all those same disciplines and all that through being in the military. They'll be like, I got all those same things through the military and through my through service in the military. So they're like, well, I didn't need it, but I still got all those same disciplines in me. So I just think the definition has to be, it's about the intent, not necessarily there's this line of, I played 1 year of whatever, because you could do that. But hey, look, when you go and look at the stat sheet, that'll tell you if you're an athlete or not. It's really that simple. Like, did you put something on the board? Well, you should have just was a spectator without a ticket. So that's why I'm like, nah, I don't really buy that.
But so if you're playing that sport, like you said, as an internship, to gain certain skills and qualities, then that shows you that being an athlete will make an advantage. It's an advantage. If you got to go and learn something to get an advantage to be in that boardroom, then that's telling you that the people who's playing the sport awfully has an advantage, some type of competitive advantage.
So I would agree that people who play sports are better people overall. But that's how I feel about the situation. So that kind of goes into the next question, right? And this is what it's really all about, being prototype dad. Is sports still worth it for our kids? You know what I'm saying? Is it still worth putting our kids in sports, getting them to pursue that goal? You know what I'm saying? Is it good for our community at all?
touch on that a little bit. I think I appreciate sports for the aspect that it shows you how to be a part of a machine, and sometimes you just have to be the piece that fits. You can't always be the piece that you want to be. Sometimes the sport will show you that you're not this. This is what you need to be if in the end you want to win. So it kind of like the camaraderie, and sometimes you got to be the garbage man. Sometimes you'll be the star. Sometimes you got to just be a role player. Sometimes you got to wait your turn and not play at all. Sometimes you just got to make the other dude work hard in practice because it ain't your time yet. I think all that builds character.
I think that sports is one of the greatest teaching tools that a young athlete or a young person can have, because I mean all the tangibles that playing sports teach you, instill in you, all that you have to overcome just to be a great athlete or even be a mediocre athlete. And then the life lessons that you can learn, like with patience, controlling your anger, competitiveness, like having somebody think about being in the middle of a football field on the basketball court and somebody just cursing at you and stuff like that, and how patient you got to be to hold yourself, and then turn around and you got a job at the DMV or you got a job at a call center and people doing the exact same thing, and you can reflect back to a time where you've dealt with something like that and you're like, oh yeah, this is not that bad. I'm built for it, I'm equipped for it. I think when we tell our kids in our community that that's the only thing that they can do, that's where we limit it to it, or that's the only way that you can be successful, you can make it out of your situation, or you can obtain wealth real fast. I think we limit and regulate what our kids can be when we do that. But as long as we got great people in position to where they see like more than just the money that you can make from playing pro sports or the fame you obtain and stuff like that, if you get people that's actual role models and can influence the kids to like, hey, your education is just as important as your athletic ability. Learning the trade is just as important as your athletic ability. Like, so if we get something that complements sports and teaches them how to apply those life lessons to life, then sports is a great benefit. But if we only tell them that sports is all that they can do, or sports is the way out, and if you 6'8", you got to be a basketball player, something like that, that's what make you worthwhile, or you get the finest woman, the nicest rides, biggest house, everything. If you can play ball, then we doing them a disservice and we limited it. But if it's applied properly, then sports can be the greatest asset. I think everybody should play sports so they can learn something before they go out into the working world.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate sports. As for me, I don't know that I would push it. You know what I mean? If that's something that they were interested in and they wanted to go toward that, then that would be, that's dope. I support it. But I don't think that's something I would push. Like I think last week we talked a lot about martial arts, and you know what I mean, that being a good foundation to kind of get some of those skills with I don't know why my mind is jumping right now, but a lot of those foundational skills with the martial arts, and then also, like STEM programs and things like that. Because that's one of, like, my daughter, she was in, she didn't like it, but I thought the program was dope. Like, they taught her how to create like different like aquatic robots and do the create remote controls for them, and they were teaching her a lot of different things like that. So I think I would like try to push my kids into more of that stuff right there, getting into the STEM stuff, getting them more into technology, getting them more into engineering, and thinking them how to build and create stuff. And if they wanted to get in sports as well, then I would support them in the sports. But it definitely wouldn't be something that I would be like, okay, you need to do sports, because when it comes to the sports, my fear is that I'm going to end up pushing you more than you're going to push yourself, and then you're going to end up resenting me for it. And then it's hard to balance that father and coach type of role. So, that my thing is, like, if that's something that you want to do, I'm going to push you as hard as you're willing to work. But it's not something that I'm just going to be, drilling in their head.
Lee, can I interject for a second? Is that not the case with anything though? What if you wanted your son to be an engineer, or if you wanted your son to be an architect or something like that? If they just, because I mean, me being a trainer, I see like the flip side of it. I see parents wanting their kids. Like I got a kid right now. His dad sent them to college to be an engineer, but he also played football. So when he stopped playing football, he said, "There's no reason for me to, be here anymore." The whole engineer thing went out the door. But his dad gave him this playbook on, this is a good career field you can have. This is what you should go for, and it makes sense because you'll be set for life. Do you think like it's not just a sports thing, that anything that we kind of force upon the kids could be detrimental?
For sure, for sure. So I'm going to talk about forcing it on them. I'm just talking about introducing it to them because, like I said, with my daughter, we put her in this. I can't even remember the program, but it was dope as heck because they used to take them on trips, to different states and different things, and they used to compete, nationwide with different schools and stuff like that, and it was really dope. But she didn't latch onto it. She didn't like it. She hated it. I even told her, I said, man, your uncle got a tech company. I said, man, he could teach you all kind of stuff, put you on. And she was like, nope. So, you know what I mean? It's just introducing them to that stuff and, putting it out there as an option. Like I said, I'm not going to steer them away from sports. It's just, I'm not going to push it. It'll be there as an option along with, like I said, martial arts and, and STEM programs and things like that. But I just want to make sure they have options to be able to say, okay, I like this, I don't like this. And that way it's not getting to a point where, I'm like, oh man, you're good at this. And then I just start pushing them so hard that now it just becomes work and they just don't want to do it no more.
So I got an example. So my son, when I was trying to compete in Georgia, I used to take my son with me all the way to the gyms, you know what I'm saying? And I even like let him get in the ring like little kids and stuff. Cause you know what I'm saying? I figured like, cool, if I make it, then he'll be the next one up. So I used to bring him out here and like make him like box. And like to the point where he'd be down here crying. You know what I'm saying? Like he was just totally like, it just wasn't his thing. And so I had to recognize that as a father. I said, yo, if I keep making him do this, he's gonna hate it and he's gonna resent it. And you know what I'm saying? It's just not going. He's not gonna get what I want out of it. So I just had to let him choose what he wanted to do. So now he plays football and he runs track. Like I still show him the basics to defend himself, but he plays what he want to play. And I think the mistake we make as parents is that we want to choose for them. We want them to, you know what I'm saying, either, you know what I mean, like live, like vicariously live through them, or, you know what I'm saying, in different things. So I think like the sports is great. And like you guys said, like, but let them make the choice, like what they want to do. And then just be that support system for them. You know what I'm saying? You can give them the map and a road, like tell them if they say, hey, I want to play golf, then you just got to go and find information to help them be the best they can be at golf. Even though he's 6'6" and 300 pounds, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You looking like, dude, you shouldn't be playing it. But you know what I mean? Ultimately, they got to have the want-to and the desire to do it. And we just got to be the one to support them.
So to smooth into the next question, right, is how can we prevent ourselves from being an overbearing parent? You know what I'm saying? And it goes in so many different ways of being overbearing in engineering, being overbearing in, in sports, you gotta do, push. You know what I'm saying? Or being that erratic dad at the games. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so how do we prevent ourselves from being that? You know what I'm saying? Because I ran into plenty of them, coaching youth sports. I know Ray probably dealt with it. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure he probably deals with it himself in pushing his own kids because he's made it. You know what I'm saying? So how do we prevent that?
I think it's a fine line between being obsessed and being invested, right? You want to show your kids that you're invested in whatever extracurricular activities they have. You believe in them. You want to give them every opportunity to be successful in it, but you also don't want to make it. I think a lot of parents, especially with sports, that's the only thing they got in common with their kid. Like dads who coach football or who, project on their kid like their football fails and want them to succeed so bad, you got to get in the gym, you got to work. I think they don't have a balance. Like that's the only thing they talk to their kid about when they want to spend extra time with their kid. All right, let's go to the gym, let's get some shots up, or let's go, lift weights around routes, or let's watch this football game. And a kid is naturally going to kind of do it to bond with you, but they're going to resent you in the long run. So it's like, if you're a scientist and you want your child to be an engineer or a scientist or something like that, and that's the only thing y'all got to bond over, it doesn't matter what the thing is. If that's the only thing, then it's going to be some type of separation. You're no longer going to be like dad, because they're going to feel like if they stop practicing science and stuff like that, or playing the piano, whatever it is that they doing that y'all enjoy doing together, that they're going to lose their bond with you. So they kind of just keep continuing doing it just to kind of appease their parents. So it's just being a parent, like knowing that gray area. Like with me, with my daughters, I got an 8-year-old that is falling in love with basketball, and I own a gym with a basketball court in there, but I don't say, let's get on the court, right? As much as I want to, because I'm at these games and I watch you play, I don't project that on her, though. I don't put that on her. It's when she say, hey, Dad, can we go on the court? Can we get some shots up? And I'm like, yeah, but when we working out, but I'm still going to allow you to be a kid because I want you to love what you're doing. She's 8. I don't, if she was 18 and we talking about me spending real money or what you about to do as far as a decision, then yeah, we can, crack down and take it serious. But she's 8. Heck, she liked Barbie dolls last year. This year, she don't want to play with them. So they minds change. So I just feel like we can invest in it, but not take over it. Like we can't force their hand to be what they don't want to be. You want them to kind of come to you and want to dial in and do whatever it is.
I want to pin that. I want everybody to speak on the question, but I got to pin that because I got something to say about that. But go ahead, anybody else?
So literally, as everybody was talking, kind of it took me back to kind of my scenario with my daughter. She was kind of coming up. She's 14 now, and man, Ray, like kind of around your daughter's age, she was like 8, and she had started hooping, and like she had got into it. At least so I thought, right? So man, I like. Not only did I invest in it, like I was like, okay, when I went and put a hoop up in the crib, in the backyard, you know what I'm saying? She had J's for practice, J's for games. And I'm like, and she was like, yo, I don't really want to play no more. I'm like, but you got all this, you got all this athletics on jeans on both sides. Your grandfather owns a gym, he's a trainer. Like, what are we doing here? Like, you can pay for school. And now, luckily, because she's outspoken, she was like, Daddy, you got money. You gonna pay for my school. I was like, you know what? You're right. And that's what and she said this at 8 years old. I was like, you're right. So what I learned is, man, whatever they're passionate about, I try to expose her to everything. At this point, she literally said she wants to be the Supreme Court Justice. And I was like, oh, okay. So whatever, I try to expose her to everything. And whatever it is that she decides that she's passionate about, I invest in that, and I try to push her in that because, and I've learned that from kind of some of, not to be that way, but folks like my African friends or Chinese friends or stuff like that, like they don't really give them much. They give them guide rail, like you're gonna be this or this, doctor, lawyer, engineer. Like like, oh, I want to dance. They're like, yeah, that's a hobby. So I kind of learned I have to give her guide rails because she's in the art. She's like, oh, maybe I'm like, no, that's a side hustle, or you know what I mean? Like we got to do something that's probably gonna be able to help you sustain yourself. We're not going to just go on to do everything that's creative. So what I've learned is whatever she's passionate about, man, I try to like invest in that, and I try to like, okay, whatever it is, that as long as I feel is positive and it can, build on her future and it's a learning tool, man, I go ahead and I support it.
So to reflect on what Ray was saying, right? Like, wait until he's 18 to find out what he's going to do with his bread. Like, hey, what we doing with this money? You know what I'm saying? Are you going to school or being realistic? The investment to getting that scholarship or being professional or whatever starts well before that. You know what I'm saying? It starts when you're 8. It starts when you're 12. Like, you know what I'm saying? It starts well before that. You know what I'm saying? So how do you make that decision of, look, this is over here. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sure we was all like, we all had hoop dreams, football, athletic goals when we was like 8 at the hoop court or whatever. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm going to do this forever, or I'm going to go pro. The investment starts way early. How do you relay that message when they don't want to necessarily push? Like, they're like, oh, yeah, I'm good. You know, in my case, like, oh, I'm good at softball. And I want to go, but I don't necessarily know, or I don't want to work hard or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So how do you relay that message? You know what I'm saying? To be like, look, this over, like, to make it, you're going to have to do X, Y, Z. And you're talking to an 8-year-old. You understand what I'm saying? So what's that line? What's that balance of relaying the message of this takes serious commitment? It ain't no you turn 18 and now I could turn up on you. You know what I'm saying? You're going to have to turn up at 8.
Put the medicine in the candy. That's it. That's it. Like, all the people that I've seen who have been like sports dads and stuff like that it worked out the way they planned it. One, they had the genetics for it. And you have to be realistic in your assessment of your kid and their abilities, right? So you can't just be like, look, I know I'm 5'8" and I'll do 5'9" and my wife is 5'2". Like, he's probably not going to be an NBA All-Star. Like, let's be honest. You didn't give him what he needed. Let's be honest. But as long as you're honest about that assessment, and it's a good chance that they can do it if they put in the work, I think that's an endeavor worth going down that path. But if you're delusional, like, I mean, you're wasting both y'all's time and energy and money. So as long as, you know, it's a realistic goal and y'all are going about it the right way, I think it's good. As long as they still have a passion for it. And the chance of my daughter being the Supreme Court justice is very low. But if she's aiming for the moon and she hit the stars, I'm okay with that. So that's why I say I put the medicine in the candy.
Big, I'll take. It's tough to realistically look at your 8-year-old and say, I'm about to make this investment in you for your future in a long time, especially when it comes to athletics, because you don't know how a kid gonna grow, how they're gonna develop. Heck, I have seen a kid grow and he went from 5'8" to 6'3", but he clumsy as hell, and you don't know if he's gonna grow into his feet. But I just tell people, like, because I see it all the time. You gotta look at LeVar Ball. He don't even got a real good relationship with his kids no more. You know what I'm saying? And he forced basketball down his throat. And I'll be quick with this next story. I got a kid. I met him when I was training to go pro. His dad was my trainer. And he told his dad at 8 years old, Dad, I want to work out with you. And his dad was like, well, if you do, you got to be serious about it. So he started having his son run hills, run mountains, do all this training. And the kid ended up becoming one of the top players in the country or whatever while he's in high school. I'm training with the kid, and one of my pro buddies, we out there training with his dad, and the dad getting mad the sophomore is not beating us in sprints and stuff like that. The kid didn't go to prom. He didn't have a social life. Like, his dad made decisions based on what he felt like was going to be success. He sent his son to go live with a whole nother family just so he can go to school in a different district. Like, his kid was almost like a charity case, but he was a baller, Under Armour All-American, all of this stuff. Every college in the nation wanted him when he was coming out of high school. And he ended up going Notre Dame. They played the national championship game first year, but that was his first taste of freedom, his first taste of being away from his dad, because his dad had been forcing him. I'm talking about the boy was waking up at 4 or 5 a.m., running at the track. You know, lunchtime, where everybody else is at lunchtime, his dad was getting him out of school, making him work out. Then he still had to do a workout in the evening time. So when he got to college and he got the taste of freedom, everything went crazy, right? He get his girlfriend pregnant. He transfers from Notre Dame after they just played in the national championship. I think it was the year they might have lost to Auburn or something like that. But he transferred from there, go back home, go to the college at University of Arizona. But he was never the same, right? And if you look at this kid, his body of work from middle school to high school, how much his dad invested in him, how good of a trainer his dad was, you just knew he was going to be a first-round draft pick, because he has a 12-minute highlight tape on YouTube from when he was in high school, and 8 minutes and 45 seconds of it is touchdowns. So you see a kid like that, and it's all from a junior year. You like, dang, all right, he's going to be. But when he got to college and he got to freedom and he realized that he ain't really love the game like he was supposed to. And he ended up, when it came time for him to do his pro day, had him down to a 4.340. He just went out there and didn't apply himself. Like he just was like, him and his dad had fell out by that time because he was making decisions as a man against his dad's wishes. So now that bond that they had was no more, and they stopped speaking. And so he went to pro day and just quit, had a Canadian job and just gave it up. And then he found his passion back with coaching. But back when he was in that transition of trying to figure out what life was going to look like for him without his dad and stuff, he ended up committing a murder or alleged committing a murder. So now he's in jail. He got a college coaching job and everything. Now he's in jail right now facing a murder charge because he was in high school. He didn't have no social life. So his girlfriend that he had that he was in love with or whatever, that was his everything. That was his taste of freedom. He got her pregnant and all that stuff. And then she started dating another guy. And that kind of just threw him for a loop. And he ended up, allegedly committing a crime of passion and stuff like that. But kid, all he knew was sports from the time his dad had the conversation when he was 8 until, until he was like, man, this ain't for me.
But so I think it's, so I think it's the fear of, there's one thing, I chased trying to go pro until I was like 28. Right. Mm-hmm. And there was one thing that Mo used to tell me all the time. Keep chasing it because you can't always, and you can work a corporate job forever. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's just one of those things of getting out there in the mill. You know what I'm saying? Like working that mill job, working that telemarketing job, working that text, you know what I'm saying? Like mm-hmm. getting out there and working those BS jobs. You know what I'm saying? Because you have to and make a living. You know what I mean? Like that's a whole different aspect of playing ball. I play ball any day. You know what I'm saying? Than to go work this job as as a cook. You know what I'm saying? I mean, some people love being a cook, but you understand what I'm saying. Like I'll go play ball any day. Like you know what I'm saying? I like back when I was making $40K, I would have played ball to make $40K easy. You know what I'm saying? Like 40K is 40K, but I'm playing ball. So it's one of those things where you just don't have an opportunity to kind of realize what life really is hitting for. You know what I'm saying? Like life could be freaking terrible on the other side of it if you're not doing something you want to do and you don't got no skills. You know what I'm saying? But I think we had this show previously, right? It's like the unheard. It's like so we're taking
it's the lost show,
right? The lost show. But I kept the notes from that show, man. And one of the points was understand that it's a business and keep it about the opportunity and the leverage of what you can gain from whatever. Like you know what I'm saying? And it kind of goes to the never be over passionate about anything. Not about love, not about relation, not about friendships, not about career, not about any of it. You know what I'm saying? So I don't understand. You said in your story that sports teaches you all these different things, but then you just told a story on how he wasn't able to control himself based on not having enough of the other stuff. You know what I'm saying? That's the wild part about it. How you advocated for it being a way to do this and a way to do that and a way to control. Look, see, looking for.
I'm looking for the smoke detector.
But at the same time, he wasn't able to do that. You know what I'm saying? And we hear so many times that athletes aren't able to control themselves. Mm-hmm. So is it, you know what I mean? Like, and that's how other people get to be like, man, it's not worth it at all.
I mean, the trade-off in playing sports is, I mean, a lot of people come out of the situations messed up. You know what I'm saying? Like CTE and that's the one right there. CTE and not being able to recover, and like you spend years chasing a dream that you might not obtain, or your career don't go the way you believe it should, and people use you or around you because of certain stuff you got, or who you are and stuff like that. A lot of people can't deal with that, but you and I know, because we talk about it in like the MVP thing. The thing that athletes struggle with the most is like not having a locker room no more, though. It ain't, all those tangible stuff that you learn and stuff like that, and it teaches you, sports teaching you apply, it's okay when you go into war. Same with military. When you go into war with people that got that common thought process and stuff like that. But once you take a person away from that and then you isolate them, and then you're not working collectively with nobody else on y'all dreams or to get better or to compete and stuff like that, that's the part where athletes start to falter and fall. Like you see a lot of guys, once they get done playing, that's when all the real trouble start, because they lost. Again, they 28-year-old, really fresh out of college. You know, they might have had a lot of money and spent 6 to 8 years, you know, playing ball and making all this money, but they ain't really adults. You know, they kind of still in that same like little bubble that they were as kids. And when they take them out of their locker room environment and nobody else to like, hey man, come on, you know, that's when they really start to lose it, you know. And like with this kid, you know, he was isolated, you know what I'm saying? Like he fell from the pinnacle, and everybody who loved him when they loved him, they kind of went away because his you know, stats and production started to decline and stuff like that. And you know, the woman that he probably used to talk to about going to the league and buying her house and a car, you know, she slept with somebody else. That, you know, you out there by yourself. You can't go in the locker room and be vulnerable with your brothers no more. You know, you got to kind of internalize that and deal with it as a man by yourself. So.
Again, is it the question, is the sports worth it? I mean, because losing that locker room is a lot. It's a lot, man. It's a heck of a journey. You know what I'm saying? And that's, I think we play so long because of it. There's nothing like it. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of us didn't even play sports because we liked it. We just played sports. Like I didn't play. I chose football over baseball just because of the environment. But he's still looking for. You know what I'm saying? But like baseball wasn't my culture. You know what I'm saying? So realistically, I should have stuck with that. It's easier. It's easier. There's more money. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like baseball for a football player is cake. You know what I'm saying? But the culture's off. The culture's not the same. You know, we don't necessarily rock with them guys like that. You know what I mean? Dudes are a little strange over there. You know what I mean? They might not speak the same language as you. There's tons of things that could interfere with that. You know what I mean? So it's one of the locker room is super important. And I think even from this show, like I've built the network from this show based off the locker room, like people I've met in the locker room, people I've come across that way, and we all have that same mind frame, that same thinking. And even when you meet another athlete that do what you do out in the world, y'all bond. You know what I'm saying? And I have this goal to create an IT world of former athletes. You know what I'm saying? Or applying, like even with my high school back home, I'm trying to get them kids learning how to code. You know, see, y'all laughing at the smoke detector, but I'm trying to get the kids at my high school to learn how to code. And I think like something like that, like education, like STEM or anything that's going to make STEM or accounting or any productive field should go hand in hand with the sport. You know what I mean? And it goes back to understanding leverage and opportunities. And I think a person that's athletic and have a skill set, I think they're basically unstoppable. It's the ones that have either or. You know what I'm saying?
You're never gonna find that smoke detector, man.
Yeah.
So why the athletic?
What'd you say?
Vic,
Go, Mo.
So Vic, my question on to piggyback off of that was why the athletic? And the reason I say that is because like by the time I got to 35, the athletic didn't matter anymore. So why now I still carry the discipline and all the tools that I got from the athletics from, the past 20 years. But by the time I got to 35, nobody cared I was a 4.37. Nobody cared that I could 35 inch like vert. Like that's why why the athletic?
Because I mean,
still valuable.
Ray just mentioned it. And we just talked about it. It's the locker room. We don't like the sport because of the sport. We like the sport because of the locker room. You know what I'm saying?
But that's my point. Like, so once you're out of it, once you're gone and you're, like I always say, you can always wait till tomorrow to be average. So once you're back in the average world and you're no longer competing or whatever, why do you feel why does that give you, that being athletic gives you a leg up?
Oh, I think because you're used to being a part of, you're used to being like a team player. You're not, you know what I'm saying, that kind of things. Bringing up your brother, you're more able to help, you know what I'm saying, other people. Like, hey, let me teach you this way. I think you're a better leader. That the athletic just has different values on being family in hard situations, opposed to the unathletic. Like, let's say even if you don't play a team sport, like if you're just a track runner, cross country runner, you're playing sports that solely depend on you. Those guys even lack the skills to understand that I might need to big up my brother. I might need to, carry him a little bit. You know what I'm saying? It's that lack of team effort and lack of teamwork. You know what I'm saying? That selflessness that goes into that. You know what I'm saying? Like, think about it. Think about it this way in math struggles, right? In coding. Not only are they not athletic, so I can't bond with them. You know what I'm saying? They're not even they don't even have my culture. And the ones that look like me, they not ADOS. You understand what I'm saying? They either African or whatever. And the ones that are ADOS or the small percentage that still don't bond with them because they were the nerdy whatever. Like, they were that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not to say there's anything wrong with being that, but they just weren't. They're all selfish. You understand? You know what I'm saying? It's never a, hey, bro, you struggling with this? I got you. As if I'm always you struggling with this? I got you. And I think I learned that from being in the locker room, opposed to, I mean, I've always been in the locker room.
And I think that was kind of my point, though. Yep, and I think that was, you kind of made my point. But go ahead, bro.
Let me give a little pushback. Thanks, Mo. So I like, discipline keeps coming up and like routine and stuff like that. So do you guys think that discipline and athletics are synonymous? Because I don't think that they are. I think there's a lot of guys who are in sports because they love it and they're extremely athletic, but they're not disciplined.
For sure. I mean, I agree, because I mean, we had this conversation in the past on another episode, but because I said, like, some of the biggest skill players that I've seen were the most selfish. They weren't really team players, and they weren't really disciplined. They were just skilled. They were skilled, and they were like extremely athletic, and they could just ball out. But it wasn't like they were, you know what I mean? They weren't the first one at practice and the last one, at practice. They weren't doing all that. They was coming in, they were doing what they were doing, trying to boost their numbers, and they didn't really care about the team. So, you know what I mean? So it just is what it is, man. And that's why I say, I lean more towards that martial arts for the discipline. You know what I mean? That whole mindset in the individual. But I look at team sports as a way to bond and to figure out how to work with other people. You know what I mean? Understand that you're part of a bigger groove, like, especially when you're talking about offensive linemen, defensive linemen, and everybody working together and seeing how all of that stuff works in unison with each other. So, I definitely think that sports and discipline are not synonymous, but I think they can be in a way. But yeah, I think, even when I was thinking a minute ago when Vic was talking about like the chess club, like I was part of the chess club at one point, and man, the way we used to strategize and we used to work together and to kind of think like that, like we worked as a team to build that up, even though we were playing individual games, like we were still graded as a team. So it, that was a, a dope interaction to be in. But we just weren't all on the field at the same time.
So here's a question I'm gonna pose for the group, though. So based on kind of how I grew up and everything like that, I think a lot of that structure and discipline came in lieu of kind of the parenting and the structure that I got at home. So for me, as I kind of looked into it for my daughter, do you think that sometimes some of that is, you can circumvent that based on what you're doing in the home versus, and you don't necessarily need a sport to provide that? And that's something that I kind of see that's kind of what's going on with my daughter. A lot of the stuff that I got out of sports and that environment, she doesn't need, because I'm providing that in home already.
My answer to that is no, because a lot of it is training through your peers and understanding your peer group. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the best way to kind of mold a kid. I think, you know what I mean, or that's the best way they accept it is through their peer group. There's one thing for your parents to say, do this, do that, X, Y, Z, blah, 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 blah. You know what I'm saying? This is best for you. This is how we moving. And they'll absorb some things, if not most. But when it comes to their peer group, man, there's nothing greater than that. Cause you know what I'm saying? Like we basically all we was valiant to each other at a young age. Like gangs start at a very young age. You know what I'm saying? Like them dudes be like 12, like I'll die for you, bro. Like you know what I'm saying? So it's kind of one of so the peer group is more important, and there was so many, like think about it. Like we all played bars at some point, right? And there was them guys that was just on the team because their friends was there. And you knew who they were. And it was cool. Like, you know what I'm saying? But it's I think the peer group is it teaches you more. You found it. You finally found it. But the peer group teaches you more than your actual parents. I feel, and I think our job is to understand that and just to make sure they get in the right peer groups.
And the reason
What I'll say is
on that is because I remember with my peer group, and for y'all to know where I'm from, I literally had to go the opposite way because they was really doing that type of stuff, and I'm having to go that way because if I was swimming with my peer group, no telling where I would be. So that's where I'm like, based on the discipline and stuff like that, if you're getting it from wherever you're getting it from, I just feel the fact that you get that discipline and you get those intangibles, it's just more important that you get it, not that you get it from your peer group. Because my peer group, man, it just like, trust me, like they were doing a lot of the wrong things, and in spite of that, because of the kind of the grounding that I had, I was constantly going the opposite direction because I knew where I wanted to end up at the end of the day.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that, Mo. Because I feel like, my daughter, she's learned a lot of, that disciplined mindset from me, in regards to like, you know what I mean? Like really doing stuff every single day, whether you want to or not, like setting, standards for yourself. Now, what I will say is that her peer group supersedes anything that I say when she leaves the house. So when she gets out in here and she's in her peer group, you know what I mean? Her focus is still her focus, but there's that extra piece that she has to account for out in the world. Whereas, you know what I mean? I tried to get her in so many different sports, like we tried track, we tried all kind of stuff, and it never really stuck, you know what I mean? And now she's running track, and like she loves it. She's got a bunch of friends running track, and I don't have to get her up for nothing. Like all of that stuff that I've been teaching her in the background is in her head now. Now that she found something that she likes, it's just like full go. Nope, Dad, I got practice. Oh, I gotta go here. Oh, I gotta meet. Oh, I got this. She's reminding me instead of like before it was me reminding her, hey, you got a soccer game today. Hey, you got soccer practice. Hey, you got this. Hey, you got that. Now I don't have to say nothing. Now she's like, she's coming to me and telling me. So you know what I mean? It's the mix of that peer group and that discipline that I taught her on the back end. It's all coming together. So you know what I mean? I definitely think if you could teach them some discipline, you could teach them different stuff at home that they'll carry out in the streets, and they'll use it when it benefits them in their peer group.
I think peer group and passion are the greatest influencers on kids, because their friends could be doing something, could want to do something. Heck, if a kid come in school, like all her friends come to school with a pair of Reebok Classics on, and they like, yeah, these the hottest shoes, and your kid can have on some $800 Amiris, and she gonna look at the Reebok Classics like, Dad, I need to go get some Reebok Classics because everybody else wearing them. That just show you like a little bit of their influence and who surrounds them. Like if you got an athlete and the people that they on the team with are the lazy athletes, the guys who coming in late in the back of the meeting room and stuff like that, it's gonna eventually rub off on them. Like you can't outwork a bad social group. You know what I'm saying? Like, But when you got passion, that's the only catch to it. When you got passion, I know that thing keep beeping. When you got passion, that kind of gets them up in the morning. So your friends can lead you to it, or you can kind of just stumble upon it. And if you find out you like it, then they gonna commit to it and be all in, and that supersedes everything because they like, oh no, I like to do this. I want to go to practice, or man, I like reading books. I can't wait to finish my homework or get done with dinner so I can go sit on the couch and read a book and stuff like that. So peer group and passion, that's going to supersede anything that we can teach them. The only thing we hope is that whatever we instill in them at the house, which is discipline, whatever it is that we, values that we teach them, if they come into an occurrence where their peer group might be trying to steer them the wrong way or something without integrity, that discipline comes in and they're like, no, man, my daddy taught me better than this, or my mama taught me better than this, or this is something that'll disappoint them. And that's where, they back from that ledge, like, oh, I ain't fully committed to jumping or whatever. So I guess you could say you got peer group, passion, and then respect, because it's the respect of whatever it is that you taught them.
How you combat. You know how you
hold on.
that?
Wait, before you go past that, like, I don't want us to gloss over that. That was a gym, like, damn that smoke detector.
You
like,
can't
that was
outwork.
hard.
No, you can't outwork a bad social group. Oh yeah.
That was a gym.
Yeah.
Like
that was that moment. You know what I'm saying?
That. Like,
no,
I was like, oh, because I always used to say, when I used to coach, I used to always tell people, I used to tell the kids, if you read and you run, you got a high chance of being successful. But I like the way you put that. Like that right there, I'm gonna steal that one. I'll do a work cited on you, but I'm gonna steal that one.
I don't even know what I said, to be honest. So
you said you can't outwork a bad social group.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying? It's like you can't outwork a bad diet, but you can't outwork a bad social group. Like that's why I wasn't talking about when you said that. I was just like, oh, that hit the heart right there. Because I was thinking about all the people I cut. I like cut them off. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I was going through the whole list with that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
No, but kind of what I wanted to say as you was talking about their peers leading them the wrong way, right? The key to that is getting the peers to respect you, getting the peers to be like, to tell your kid, because your kid's never going to see you as you are. It's going to be their friends that's going to be like, hey, your dad's dope. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's going to be his friends that be like, hey, your dad's dope. You should listen to your dad. Like, in all those different weird things, like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, if your kids' friends like you, then you don't got to worry about your kids so much, because your kid's friend is like, why are you doing that? You know your dad did this. Like that, your kid's friends see. You know what I'm saying? And that's the dope part about it, man. Like, so yeah, that you can't outwork a bad social group. That was, hey man, that might be the hardest thing I've heard this year. But somebody else spill in.
Yeah, man, I'll spill in. So I think, man, and I inherited this, I think, from just my parents and their style of parenting. I think that guidance is more important than control. A lot of parents want to try to control their kids and tell them what to do. And when you really, kids are doing, they're gonna do what they see you doing. It don't matter what what you tell them. They're watching you all the time. So you could tell them to do one thing, but they're gonna do what they see you doing. And really, and I know it's hard to lead by example all the time, but you can still explain things in a way that, like, listen, I don't want you to make the same mistakes as me. I'm not forcing you, but I'm letting you know that if you do this, this is what's going to be the outcome. I want better for you. So then you kind of instill that type of pride in them, that they know that they want to be the next. Like, I'm passing you the torch. I'm giving you the torch to be better than me. I'm doing all this stuff that I'm doing, so you don't have to do it. And I think if you could convey that message and deliver it and they receive it, then I think that's the end goal.
Man, ironically, you said that, right? I just had that conversation with my daughter this weekend about how I was passing you the torch to carry it further. Her response was, "I didn't want it." Like, no, I don't want your torch. I got my own situations in life to live. You know what I'm saying? So it's a weird balance of passing the torch to somebody that wants it, or like just letting them just go on and be. You know what I'm saying? It's a frustrating thing because we instantly think when we have kids, they're supposed to pick it up from where we left off. You know what I'm saying? And that's our intent. But if they don't want it, then what? Like, I mean, it's frustrating, but
Nah.
and that's where I got
Well,
disconnection issues. But
by torch, I think by torch, I mean like as a family, you're not set on a direct course, but you're set to a standard. So it doesn't matter what road you choose to go down.
Yeah.
It matters at which standard you hold yourself down that road. So you could choose to be whatever you want to be, but our standard is our standard. And if it's subpar, then that means we know your heart's not into it, and that probably is not the road for you. So then we're going to try to correct you, and the training wheels come back on. And I say family because no one person can do it. No one parent, no two parents can do it. It takes a village. It really does. And I think I definitely think that I'm a product of a village. I know that I'm a product of a village because I probably had 8 moms, and 5 dads, that I could call or look up to. I was fortunate in that way, with the uncles and the aunts and everything. But it was a diversification of messaging, but the messaging was all the same. So you would get it in a different flavor or, a different delivery. I think that makes a difference. It really does.
Definitely. That's what I was going to say. You know what I mean? It's for me, it's not about, taking my torch and doing what I'm doing better. To me, it's just about like finding your own lane. You know what I mean? And being better than me. Like I tell my daughter every single day, and it's crazy. But I'm like, Daddy ain't shit. Like, I ain't shit. Be better than Daddy. Like, that is the goal. You know what I mean? Like, you got everything at your disposal that I didn't have. I mean, I had God and I had family. That's what I had when I was growing up because we sure ain't have nothing else. But for her, she has everything at her disposal to be able to draw experience from, you know what I mean? And to gain and be the best version of herself that she could be. And I don't need for a little bit. I was hoping she was going, you know what I mean, could go where I was going because I was like, she was following behind me doing the culinary stuff, and she was cooking, and she started her own baking company, and she was doing cupcakes and all kind of stuff. And I was like super proud dad, you know what I mean, because I'm from the culinary world, so it was like this is dope. But coming to the understanding that that was our bonding time, and it really wasn't something that she was like overly passionate about, that she was going to do this as a lifestyle and a career, you know what I mean? And realizing okay, I need to stop being coach and I need to be dad and just, lean back on that a little bit and just let her just develop in the way that she needs to develop. But then also like, saying like, hey man, be whatever you want to be, do whatever you want to do. I'll support you. Just go further than me. You know what I mean? And so I like that's the goal, to be able to just take the torch and go wherever you want to go. But you know what I mean? Just go a step longer than me. So that's where I'm at with it, man. I really think that, I agree with Lynn where it comes like there is a standard, there's a family standard. Like, and that's why I always talk about my family, you know what I mean, all the time, because my family is everything to me. So the standard is the standard. We set the standard and we just give them the rubric and we give them the steps to take things to the next level. You know what I mean? We're not going to tell you where to go, but you know what I mean? This is the standard for how you get there.
So I kind of want to bring it back a little bit and ask another question, right? And this is particularly pointed out, Ray, about football, particularly, right?
Okay.
Is that sport still worth playing? Is it still worth getting our kids in? Is it still worth it? And two, and this is for everybody, what other avenues you think we should be getting our kids in that gives the same amount of benefits athletically? Because I mean, we can't help it. We're black folks, we're entertainers, we're athletic. That's just something us as a collective have, right? Look, speak on it, Mo. You want to have a shot, right?
Yeah.
But
hey, Ray, go ahead. Go. You hit yours out. We gonna speak on it.
So football is one of those things. It's, to me, it's like every sport. This is just the sport that we particularly dominate and have the least control in when it comes to making it to pros. And my beef with football, outside of the health issues, like with the CTE, is just how, when you make it to the pros, how they actually use you. How, you know, you can even throw the slave trade in there if you want to, like how, professional football really looks like the slave trade, how they use your body up, pay you a certain amount of money, and then just ship you back out to the world with no real resources. But to be honest, that's almost any sport like that you can run into. It's just more highlighted because more black athletes play football. Because you got to think, I mean, in the Dominican Republic, and they doing the same thing to the baseball players. Like, they do all this stuff, invest all this money in them, send them here AAA, AA, and if it don't pan out, then they just kind of discard them or whatever. But if it do, they make it to the major, and they the greatest player ever. So I wouldn't say people shouldn't how they let their kids play football, or if we should do away with the sport. I think we should just do away with the politics and the ugliness of it, and that's probably going to, kind of take away some of the money aspect of it. But the game itself ain't nothing wrong with it. It's the powers that be that's controlling it, that's messing it up on every level. Because now you're paying college kids and high school kids the same amount as you paying pro kids. So it's their job, and it's dangerous. It's dangerous. You got to think probably over 100,000 people in America play football, but also, probably a million people drive cars. So when we talk about injuries, it's going to happen. You know what I'm saying? No matter what, like, we just putting ourselves in harm's way a little more often. But I don't think the sport is the problem. I think the way the sport is being used is more so the problem, the way the people are being used. Because you look at football players like pawns and entertainment, and not as people. You know what I'm saying? Like, they sitting there yelling at the screen at people and literally writing on your Facebook and your Instagram hate you messages and stuff like that off of your job. It's like if I came to Chick-fil-A and they messed up my order, I spend the rest of the week standing there at the register yelling, "Diane, you messed up my order. You suck. You're terrible." You know what I'm saying? Like, those people wouldn't be able to deal with that. So that's the ugliness of the sport, and people don't realize that it's just a game. It's our job. We people at the end of the day, like, you know what I'm saying? And they take it to heart. Like, people real life hate the kicker that Dallas had. They real life hate that man because he missed all the field goals. They don't know what he's going through in life, but they just sent so much hate mail to him, blame him for their season ending. Like they got something invested in the team. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, to us, it's just a game. Like, you could be playing for the Giants one day, and he'll be, playing for the Eagles, the next week, depending on who don't like you and who feel like, they do like you, or where your need is. So it ain't that deep to the actual athletes, other than it being a livelihood and it being a game. But to everybody else, they make the game ugly. Owners, fans, coaches, people who move all the parts and stuff, like, they make the game ugly. But football is a beautiful sport. You know what I'm saying? It's one of those ones where it's just, you don't got a lot of places where you got 11 people all coming together to reach one goal. Basketball only 5. You know what I'm saying? Like, baseball 9. You ain't got that many people always trying to reach a common goal. So the game is beautiful. So I wouldn't recommend doing away with it.
Yeah. First of all, I appreciate everything you said. I don't eat Chick-fil-A, but I know one thing's for sure: is Chick-fil-A don't mess up your order. So we
No, that's a lie.
She forgot to put my card in today.
That is a lie. Yes, they do. They'll fix it. They'll fix it. But they mess it up though.
Be like, you ruined my order. My pleasure.
Let me fix that for you.
How many Chick-fil-A sauces you want? Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But go ahead. Anybody else want to chime in on if football should be done away with, if we should still invest in it? And the other question is, what else should we be looking into?
So I want to kind of town both in, because something that you said, and it's not necessarily a shot at you, but I think it's common that when they see us as athletes and entertainers, man, we could be so much more than that. It's about what we focus on and what we pour into these children. So, for example, my question is not if we should do away with it, because it's not our call, to be honest. So the issue that I have is if we're funneling all these our best and brightest into this one sport or into these couple avenues that we don't control, and they take it away, then what? And that's the issue that I have. Like, we're focused, we're sending all these kids and all these young folks into grinder. So what ends up happening is we're just looking for a job. We don't own anything. We don't, to my knowledge, we don't have any Black NFL owners. I still believe that's the case. So I mean, at this point, I think we should be getting into STEM. I think we should be getting into the business of sports, the business of entertainment. Like, I think that's the stuff that we need to be thinking about ownership. And I think we need to like rebrand ourselves as we can do other things outside of sports and entertainment. So whether we should do away with it or not, I don't think that's really the question, because we don't own it and we don't have the control to do it either way. But the problem is, if they do take it away, then what are we going to do if that's all we're seen as is athletes and entertainers?
I mean, to push back on that, right? It's not just about being athletes and entertainers. Like I said, the last episode we had, right, is about understanding leverage and the advantage. You know what I'm saying? So, what I'm really asking is if we should still be taking advantage of it. Is it worth the advantage? Because we're naturally gifted. You know what I'm saying? So it's going to be an option for a lot of our kids to go ahead and pursue that kind of that goal. Should we take advantage of that, or should we be divesting and taking advantage of other things instead of that? And that's really what I'm talking about. I'm not saying like, oh, we're only seeing as it's like the shut up and dribble thing, right? You can tell LeBron to shut up and dribble, but he got this school, he got this business, he's a billionaire. Like, you know what I'm saying? Not that I don't want to I don't want to make it about bread, but there's a lot of other investments. I don't want to make it about bread. It's not really about money. It's really about how you're helping the community. You know what I'm saying?
Well, he had to get that bread. He had to get that bread.
You had to get that. Yeah, you had to get it.
Yeah, get $1 billion ain't easy. So that's what you get.
Who said $1 million's easy? Let's not make us. You know what I mean? $1 million ain't easy.
Whatever, $1 million ain't easy, but we talking about $1 billion. So like, he put work in. So that's what I'm saying. You can't have it without money.
Let me chime in. So as far as football is concerned, am I against the game? Absolutely not. Am I against my son playing the game? No. But am I going to, if it's something that he loves, then I'm going to let him do it. But I don't think it should start as early as it started, like back in our generation. Full contact, 6 years old, 7 years old. It's unnecessary. You barely can even run good to be, making full contact. So I think all that's unnecessary. I think the contact should start a little later on in your career. But like, to be a professional football player, it's a risk, man. There's guys out here who are, electricians who change the lights and cranes and work on bridges and build skyscrapers. All that's risky. It's a choice. You don't have to do it. if you don't want to do it. It's a choice. So everybody should have a choice to do it. Do I appreciate the way the league is, especially with no black owners, when it's a predominantly black league? They send a message by doing that, because anytime anyone tries to get in who has plenty of money to do it, they make sure they don't get in. Like they're sending a message clearly, So it's my least favorite league as far as how it's run. Whereas like the NBA, if it was more like the NBA, I think a lot more families and a lot of the things that they're doing. I mean, they covered up a lot of that information that they had about CTE. I mean, they covered that up for about 20 years.
So are you saying you would advertise to your son be a light bulb changing electrician on a crane, or be a pro athlete? Be an ice truck driver?
Not a pro football player. Any other sport but football.
Listen to what I said though, right? It's not necessarily about sports. It's really about livelihood, right? Would you tell him to be an ice truck driver or a pro football player, pro soccer player? Soccer players got more concussions, right? So like a soccer player or ice truck driver?
Soccer.
So I mean,
you could get more in less time on soccer than football.
Any sport though, like in any sport, So you're just saying, just outside of football,
I would prefer.
You would prefer anything. So if it's football and an ice truck driver, you're gonna be like ice truck driver.
Own the ice trucks.
Everybody feel the same, or what would you take advantage of?
But if he loved football, I wouldn't stop him.
Yeah, man. I just think it depends on, kind of the opportunity. Like, I remember we talked about it the last episode with Mr. Mundy. Like, man, my man was 65 years old and he was still jacked. I'm like, yeah, you shooting out winners. So, yeah, your kid should be thinking about athletics. But, yeah, if you're not really built like that, or you don't have the genetics and you don't have the passion, like, it doesn't even make sense to push them down that way. But I'm probably not going to have them be an ice road trucker either. Like, it's more about the probability than the possibility for me. Like, okay, well, there's probably 1 million coders versus, I don't know how many people is in the league, 53 times 32. I don't know what that's probably like 1,300 people. So, just from the ratio, it doesn't make sense. If you're not really about that and you're not really in position to probably be successful in it, I'm going to push you where, as a father and as a parent, it should be your job to try to keep them on the road to success. And that's all I'm planning to do. Is I'm just trying to be guardrails at this point. So I don't want either way, I don't want him to be an ice road trucker or a professional athlete if that's not in him to do. And if it's too risky to even, go down that path.
So basically what I got from Mr. Mundy is, if you can't do it leisurely, because his whole thing was, just take advantage of the business and blah, 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 blah. But I think, Ray, you could speak to this, is you can't just leisurely play football. You have to basically sell your soul to get into that thing, right? And I don't know if you know who Ryan Mundy is, but Mr. Mundy, his dad was on the show last time. And he was basically saying how, look, understand it's a business. Just take advantage of this. Everybody can't do that. To treat it as a leisure thing of, yeah, I'm just good at it. You know what I mean? You got to sell out for that. And you know what I'm saying? And there's like really no in between. Like, you know what I'm saying? Either you're really gifted and it comes that easy, that natural. So is that what you're recommending? That only the really, really gifted and that natural play the sport?
To totally sell out? Yes. Like, it doesn't make sense to try to sell out if you're not really about it. If you're not really inclined to be successful at it, it doesn't make sense to just totally sell out. And it's not a safe bet. And that's what I like to go for. I'm risk averse when it comes to my life and my livelihood. So I wouldn't be selling out if, one is I'm not passionate, and two, I'm not really that good. Like I'm gonna be a practice squad guy, but I'm not really even trying to get my degree. I jumped out early, but I'm a practice squad talent. That doesn't make sense.
I think the dynamic though is it's just so much money for such a small amount of time, right? Now, of course, you got to commit yourself, and the training, the team meetings, like the schedule is rigorous at certain points of the year. From July to almost end of May. You kind of that's your job. You're a pro athlete. Everything you do, eat, sleep, shit, all that stuff. But that is a place you only got to work for 5 years, and you're really good for life. Whereas if you go get a regular job and you're trying to get a pension and you're trying to set yourself up for life and make that same type of money, you got to give 20 years, or you got to really work up a hierarchy, which is tough. So when you say, you compare apples to oranges realistically, because you're gonna have a second. No matter what, you got to retire from football. They either gonna kick you out, you're gonna walk out, but one way or another, you're gonna get out of the pros. You know what I'm saying? So you can just sacrifice 6 years, 6 to 7 years, and be in a position that is gonna take another person 30 to 40 years to accomplish. Like some people never eclipse the amount of money you can make playing pro ball. Think about how many people aren't making $300,000 a year at a job that they got to go work from 8 to 5, and sometimes they got to work Monday through Saturday. And you got a person that's on practice squad, because that's what practice squad making now, around 300,000. They just got to show up to work after they get done with training day. I mean, training camp and stuff like that. They just got to show up to work for 2 hours, and they got to check an email. you know what I'm saying? Like end of the year, they didn't gross 300,000. Like,
so Ray, that sound good, but still, it goes back to the whole equation of the probability versus the possibility. So, for example, 1% of high school football players going to play in college. 1% of them go on to play in the pros. Yeah. So think of all that 300,000 for that. I don't know. Let's say for that 1,300, that group of 1,300. Man, there's folks in Silicon Valley that's really getting the same amount of bread, if not more, for a longer period of time with a higher probability level. But so Mo, that's the equation that I go off of.
What percentage of people actually make it in Silicon Valley? You know what I'm saying? Like to actually make a substantial amount of money. Like you can have an invention, or you can have an idea, you can work for somebody, and you can always be on the sideline if you never do enough to produce it. You know what I'm saying? Like you can have a great idea, you could be ready to mine a coin, and if you don't have the tools or the right people to see it, it can never happen. You know what I'm saying? Or it might break for you when you're 50. So it's like one of those, you're still going with the probability when we talk about percentage. Like how many people, first of all, that look like us are in hierarchies at these companies, at these Fortune 500 companies. And then you got to ask yourself, I got a ceiling. No matter what, I got a ceiling when I'm working for somebody else. I can't be the owner. I can be the president, but I can't be the owner. You know what I'm saying? So it's always going to be a ceiling when you go there. So it's a whole different percentile when we talk about living the life that we want to live and being comfortable. Because I can pay you $250,000 if you sacrifice your dreams and majority of your life, like your good years, to me and my company, and while I'm on a yacht, chilling. And so it's what you make of it, I guess, and what you're really passionate about. If you like playing football or you like playing sports and it pay your bills, some people would have did it for free anyway. You know what I'm saying? So why not let them go out there and do it the same way? If you're an IT guy and computers, software, if that's your thing, if you started off as a kid taking apart your PlayStation, your Dreamcast when it broke, then that's something that you was gonna do off the rip. And if you can get paid for it, it's a plus and a bonus. So I guess it comes down to what's the value of your time. You know what I'm saying? Like, and what are you willing to sacrifice or do to get that? You know what I'm saying? For me now, having money and being free of time is my goal. You know what I'm saying? Like being able to do whatever I want to do with my time, because it was controlled by people for so long, because people had to tell me where to go and when to go there. So that's luxury for me. and probably 1% of the population has that type of luxury too. You know what I'm saying? So it's just really on what scale you weighing it on, and what you see, you know, your viewpoint and your value of your life.
Yeah, like in that, like so actually my neighbor, I got a neighbor that actually he's a young boy that play in the league. And I say that to him too. I'm like, hey, have a plan. Like, cause there's a bunch of thousandaires in the league. Everybody ain't a millionaire. You know what I mean? Like you could, like there's a bunch of guys just, I mean, they hanging on to the league for them 5 years trying to get to a pension. So I mean, it's just one of those things where I just like, hey, make sure you have a plan, because even if you do make a meal, man, them dudes is living a lifestyle to where like this is supposed to last you the rest of your life. And if they blow that money, you still gonna have to go get a job anyway. So it's all about, you know, the longevity and the life you actually want to live.
Yeah, the NFL stands for. I'm sorry.
No, you were gonna say not for long, right?
No.
Okay.
No financial literacy.
Mm.
That you get what I'm saying. That's the thing that, and I just made that up, but it's the truth. Like no financial literacy. Like ain't nobody teaching these. Like they do these seminars, these classes. Get you a financial advisor, save your money, go invest your money, but you still not literate. Like you're literally giving somebody else your money and saying, "Hey, be smart with my money for me." You get what I'm saying? Or somebody else is like, "Hey man, you should go invest in this," but you don't know what you really want to do. You know what I'm saying? You just got a lot of money and not a lot of time, and somebody telling you, "Hey, you better figure out," you know, because I'll say it to my athletes, you better figure out what you want to do, because you don't have a secondary career. You're still gonna be young when you retire, no matter.
I would say, but here's the thing: I rather had an option to blow it than not ever had ever had an option at all.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that's two different things, man. Like if I'm hanging on for a 5-year pension or whatever, the option to blow it is way better than never touching the girl at all. You know what I'm saying? Like, because those years I'm gonna be in the NFL is going to be some of the most amazing years of my life. You know what I'm saying? And if I could take advantage while I'm near, I'm gonna take advantage. Like, you know what I'm saying? And if I blow it, hey, at least I could blow it.
No,
I know that never take you to
This
Vegas.
is why people. This is
You
why
bet it
people
all on black. He bet it all
people
on
kill
black.
themselves. People literally kill themselves because they had it and lost it and can't deal with not having it again. So you don't want to ever have it,
Man,
lose
people,
it, and not have it. You don't
Bro, you
ever
kill
want to get to
themselves
that
all the
point.
time, bro. People, like we just was talking about gangs. People kill themselves all the time, bro. Like
Yeah.
we're not talking about. Look,
I'd
I'd rather die a rich depression than broke depression. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man.
But Vic, Lee said something right there, because you give it to them real fast, and the only way they accrue that wealth is by playing a sport, and then they lose it, or it ain't, you know, that now they got to go out, and like I said, they retiring at 28. They still got to live another 42 years on not knowing how to get that money back. So they walk around with resentment, regret, and shoot, and not like they trying to do anything. That's when you see them like, I'm gonna make a comeback. I'm gonna start playing sports, or shoot, they go get a bag and try to, like, because they only know how to get quick money, so they need quick money. They can't. Once you get $1 million like that, you can't go back to just, you know, breaking it down and get 10% of that each year. And you don't know how to live like that or save that type of money. Those kids go crazy. Like, Lee, you said something right there, bro. Like, when you get it, lose it, and can't figure out how to get it back, man, that's why you see so many kids offing themselves and God darn it, like going crazy or in the chain gang now, because they don't know how to get it back.
You said in the chain gang.
Yeah.
Chain gang.
I mean, but that's one of those things. Like,
True story.
I hate to say it like this, but that's like white people problems. And I rather white people problems.
Mm-mm.
What am I saying? I'm saying is that white people live at a certain whatever, you know what I'm saying? And we be like, why they all in therapy? You know what I'm saying? They got this money, they this and that. Like, you know what I'm saying? We talk about that, how we all reach this level, and now we got to deal with it like they do. We got to deal with our lives like they do, where we came from humble beginnings, and now that we're all decent, we're figuring out how to deal with depression, how to deal with all these different things, and you know what I'm saying? We're like, oh, That's why they was doing X, Y, Z. I mean, there's different problems at every level. You know what I'm saying?
Let me interject.
Those are people with money problems. Those aren't white people problems, because there's a lot of broke ass white people who grew up the same way we did, and they don't know shit about shit. So those are people with money problems. You know what I mean? Those ain't just white people problems. Those are
right. Trailer parks and Budweiser, like, trust me, like they go through it too.
Bro.
It ain't a color thing. It's a social.
Problems,
the only color that matters is green.
Problems is even worse because you now became the leader of your whole family because you got money now. And then if you trick it off and fumble the bag, now you not only let yourself down, but all this cachet that you had or clout that you had is gone. And you can't figure out how to get it back because you never knew how to get it in the first place because you was devoted to one thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I pose another question to y'all. So is it better to put all your eggs in one basket and devote yourself to one skill, become the best at one skill, or be a jack of all trades? Which one is better? Because some people go one sport, I'm only doing this, I'm going to be the best at this. But then when it's all over, what do?
I think if you the jack of all trades, you'll be able to survive and adjust better than a person who eggs all in one basket. Because if all you know how to do is work on cars, and then they mess around, get rid of all the cars and make everything electrical, your ass don't know what to do. You ain't got no job no more. You get what I'm saying? Like, it's got. Vic, can I cuss?
You got it. Yeah.
Okay. So you don't have a clue what to do, and you kind of just stuck. You like, damn, you basically like a person with no experience because what you good at don't exist no more. So that's why when you're a jack of all trades, like if that plan failed, you kind of can go over here and you can survive over here, you can survive over here. But if you bet it all on black, have everything in one basket, and you hit big, you set for life. But if it falls, then hell, you don't know how to pick yourself up by your bootstraps because you've only been focusing on one thing for so long.
I say my quick answer is, and I don't know if y'all gonna like it or not, it's be a perfectionist at one and be able to transition, right? Like get to the end of the rainbow, get the pot of gold, then split it out. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of, that's how I would think about it. Like, so even if I was like, my whole goal, like if I was ever to make it to pro sports, my whole goal was get the bag, then I'm gonna do this. It's capital. You know what I'm saying? So be good so you can get a lump sum and then use that to diversify. That would be my answer.
I mean, that sounds good to centralize, then diversify. But what if you centralize it, then you never win? So that's why I don't. But again, I think, because my background's a little different, man. I come from, man, I couldn't ask nobody for nothing. I knew it was on me. So that's why I'm more of a diversifier. I'm more risk adverse. And it gets to the point where I'm gonna kind of go through my method of getting to the point where I feel like I'm debt free. I got more bread than I can spend. Then I might be a little bit more risky and be trying to get super rich after I feel I'm super on. But I just don't. Again, it's just your preference. But I just feel that wasn't something that wasn't an approach that I could get with to centralize. And I learned that as soon as I got to college and started playing ball, I was like, I'm good, but this became a job. I was like, man, I'm good. This ain't for me no more.
So, I mean, if anybody else got anything else to say, I'm going to go ahead and get a summary. I really only like to keep this an hour. Well, I only like to keep y'all an hour, you know what I'm saying? But sometimes it gets good and we just can't stop. You know what I mean? And I don't believe in stopping a good flow because we can get a lot of good growth out of this. You know what I'm saying? This is therapy every week. You know what I mean? And I appreciate everybody coming on. I appreciate you, Lynn, coming back. Ray, I thank you for taking your time out. I know you're like super busy, you know what I'm saying? And hopefully, you have an opportunity to come back, whenever you're free. I take some notes, and this is some of the notes that I want to share from the last show, right? Is in the summary, sports help you build your network. I can really speak to that, man. And this show kind of proves it. I mean, Hit Me jumped off, but he tells me all the time, like, dog, you know a lot of people. How do you know so many people? And I'm like, man, I just be playing ball. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you just running. Like, so many people from playing sports, you know what I'm saying? From other teams and how everybody grows and You know what I'm saying? You just know people you compete against, and y'all cool. It's honor amongst warriors, I guess. You know what I'm saying? I look at it like that. Like Ray said earlier, it teaches you how to respond. And I think theoretically, we think that, right? And that's one of the positive things about sports that we can kind of take away, but that doesn't always happen. If there's I guess we would have to figure out a more sure way to get us to be better with responding in appropriate ways and not flying off the handle. You know what I'm saying? Maybe we need to have a show about that. Well, I know Mr. Mundy was saying, like, it lets you take advantage of our opportunities and keep it about leverage. You know what I'm saying? Like, sports is about gaining leverage, and but everybody don't have that opportunity because sometimes some people got to sell out, but some people are just that good to where like, I'm just playing because I'm good. We know them guys though. Like, there are some guys that they were just out there, and you be like, man, I really love it, and you think they got the same passion. You be like, man, I'm just playing just because it's cool. Like, you know what I mean? Like, damn, you don't love it like that. So keep it about leverage and understand, like, it's all a business. You know what I'm saying? On most levels. Man, the jewel of the week, dog. Hey, Ray, you can't outwork a bad social group. Yo, I'm gonna keep that one for sure. That might go on a shirt. That might be on the next prototype dad shirt. You know what I'm saying? Maybe we should come up with like a shirt with all the like hot slogans. You know what I'm saying? And that, if that's one that's definitely gonna make it. You know what I'm saying? I want to give y'all the floor to speak y'all last and say anything y'all want to close out to. Don't all jump at once.
I was gonna get on some real ratchet stuff, like we getting money, nigga. But my bad. I feel like the talk, man, was very constructive. I feel like this was a diverse enough group that all the angles were touched as far as the sports world and should your kids get into sports, should you not push them into sports, what are the benefits, what are the pros and what are the cons, from every level, from subpar to all the way to the highest level. So I appreciate being a part of it, man. Thank you.
Yeah, man, it's dope conversation, man, and like always, man, I love being a part of these conversations because it helps me in my personal life and it also helps me in my mental. And so I definitely love the conversation tonight. Being able to expound on the way that I feel and things that are happening in real people's lives. I think that's dope. So yeah, Prototype Dad, another episode.
I was gonna say I appreciate y'all for inviting me on, Vic, for you extending this invitation. I will say, fellas, no matter what, find your locker room, whether it's this show or is a guys' night out or a meeting, going to the gym, playing ball, something. Just find your locker room so you don't have to internalize everything and you can release it out to the world. And if you do have kids, whatever you invest in, make sure you're not obsessed with it and you continue to just let them have fun and be kids, no matter what it is, whether it's science, engineering, or sports. Just continue to let them have fun. And thank y'all for identifying that my smoke detector was beeping, because now I ain't gonna be able to sleep tonight. I didn't even realize it. It probably been beeping for the last 6 days and I ain't even realized it. But now that's all I heard, and I didn't chase it to every smoke detector I got. And I'm just gonna call some people to come fix it because I don't know what's going on.
It don't stop right when you take it off. You gotta let it sit for a little bit. Just a little game.
Oh, okay, because I definitely unplugged the batteries and everything. They still beeping.
For me, man, I think that I think being that I'm going one of the last, man, I think it's important to kind of push out to the viewers, man. It's okay to pursue whatever it is that you're good at. It don't have to be sports, it don't have to be STEM, it don't have to be what make you the most money, man. But whatever the talent that's in you and whatever your gift is, man, chase that. And it's okay to be comfortable. You know what I mean? I think people they're chasing to be, super rich or whatever, man. Man, don't let being super chasing the pot of gold keep you from being comfortable. Man, at the end of the day, man, make sure that you can take care of you and yours. And I think at the end of the day, man, you know, you'll have to live a better and more fruitful life because of it, man. That's it.
Man, I appreciate all you guys, and that's another prototype dad. We out.